Hey there, you made it. Now's the time to dim the lights. Or light that one candle that smells vaguely like a library in Alexandria. Maybe crack the window. Or click on your favorite little white noise machine, the one that hums like Nile reeds brushing a boat's hull. You know the one. Tonight, we're drifting back to a time when sandalwood was currency. Papyrus meant power, and if you were unlucky enough to love a queen, your name might one day vanish like mist at sunrise. Our story begins not in a throne room, but in the quieter corners of Cleopatra's empire, behind silk curtains, down marble corridors, and inside scrolls that no longer exist. It's a story of how Egypt's last pharaoh didn't just rule men, she rewrote them, quite literally. So if the phrase romantic deletion sounds like something your ex did to you on social media, don't worry. Cleopatra invented that 2,000 years ago. But this isn't just a tale of power and passion. It's a slow descent into daily life in one of history's most layered eras. You'll see what it was like to wake up as an ordinary person in Ptolemaic Egypt. The creaking of rope sandals, the itchy linen, the smell of river silt and incense, and yes, the awkward politics of navigating a market where the queen might have just unhusbanded a general. So get comfy. You're about to time travel without the drama. No jump cuts, no explosions. Just facts, textures, and enough context to tuck your mind in and let your eyelids slowly give up. And hey, if you enjoy this sort of calm chaos, maybe give this episode a like. Or a sleepy little comment, something like, "Still thinking about that fish vendor Cleopatra didn't erase." Because somewhere in these ancient alleyways, someone remembered. Let's begin. You don't remember falling asleep. Not really. It's more like you stopped noticing the goat 2 doors down. The one that wheezes like an old flute every time it shifts. But now it's morning, sort of. A pale light leaks through the fabric hanging over your doorway. The air smells like yesterday's barley porridge and the Nile's breath. Equal parts water and worry. You stretch. Something cracks in your back. Definitely not divine intervention. The mat's scratchy under your shoulder blade, and the linen sheet has rolled itself halfway around your ankle like it's trying to escape. You're not Cleopatra. You're not even one of her scribes. You are, let's be honest, a person who has exactly 2 tunics, 1 cracked water jug, and a very complicated relationship with your roof. And yet, today, you live in the most powerful city in Egypt, the capital, the beating bureaucratic heart of the Ptolemaic dynasty. You live in Alexandria, where scrolls outweigh swords and the wrong love affair can be deleted faster than you can say Caesar. Outside, a camel snorts. Somewhere, someone sneezes dramatically. You can already hear the porters setting up at the lower market. Clay pots clink like they're politely arguing. This is what sunrise sounds like when you live 3 alleys from the fishmongers and 2 complaints away from eviction. You sit up. Your elbow knocks into something. It's your cousin's cousin, still sleeping. Sort of. Snoring in that diagonal way that suggests a complete spinal surrender. Welcome to domestic architecture in Egypt, circa 40 BCE. Privacy? No. Airflow? Barely. Personal space? A memory from the womb. Your home is made from mud brick, sun-dried and increasingly cracked, and the walls are so thin you can hear your neighbor arguing with her rooster. Again. About what? No one knows. But the rooster is winning. You rub your eyes and glance at your only window, a hole the size of your fist, stuffed with a faded rag to keep out both flies and gossip. And then it happens. A breeze, a dry, salty sigh from the Mediterranean. You let it hit your face like a gift. For a second, you forget that the water you'll wash with is 3 days away from being clean, that your rent is due in amphorae, not coins, that Cleopatra is probably in her palace, 7 layers of silk removed from your current experience. But don't worry, even queens wake up with pillow lines. Your feet hit the floor, dirt-packed, coolish. A tiny miracle in this part of Alexandria, where the sun rises not to greet you, but to slowly roast you like a fennel-stuffed pigeon. You stumble toward the water jug near the door. It gurgles and echoes back emptiness. Spoiler, it's your cousin's cousin again. He drank the last of it and left the jug angled just so, to fake the illusion of fullness. It's fine. Passive aggression is currency here, so now it's your job to fetch more. You wrap a linen wrap, scratchy the color of old ash, around your shoulders and push the cloth curtain aside. It lets out a tired flutter. The alley's already awake. Chickens strut like they own the lease. A toddler pees enthusiastically into a drain that doesn't work. A fig vendor is arranging his wares with all the precision of a high priest. This is your street. Crooked, cracked, slightly sticky. Welcome to the daily exercise known as Survive the Walk to Water. The nearest public cistern is 5 blocks away. 5 very uneven, blister-happy blocks. And you know what's worse than a Roman cobblestone road? A Ptolemaic Egyptian cobblestone road, half-patched with oyster shells and optimistic gravel. Each step is a choice. Flat rock, possible poop, a child's sandal abandoned in defeat. It's a minefield of textures. But onward you go, and the smells hit like an ensemble. Rotten honey, freshly swept dust, someone cooking lentils and absolutely burning them. A passing whiff of perfume, too fancy for this block, suspicious. And then finally you reach it, the cistern, not quite majestic, more like a very large hole with attitude. There's already a small line. 4 women, 2 boys, and a man who claims to be just resting while clearly eavesdropping. The water here tastes like wet limestone and metal dreams, but hey, it's cool, sometimes. When the sun forgets to scorch it, you dip your jug in. It slurps like a content ox. The woman next to you eyes your jug, then smirks. Not for washing clothes in that, I hope, she mutters. You smile politely. You have no intention of using it for clothes. This is survival water. Tooth rinse water, foot bath water. You're not made of amphorae. Back home, the cousin has disappeared. His sandal prints end near a cracked door frame, and a smudge of sesame paste marks his departure. Classic. You set the jug down and wipe your face with a threadbare scrap of cloth. Everything in this house is damp. The walls hold the night's breath, and the humidity clings like a jealous ex. You once owned a towel that dried things, briefly, then it gave up. Welcome to ancient Alexandria in late summer. There's no dry, only less wet. You lift your arms and sniff. Questionable, but not criminal. Outside, a donkey screeches. Inside, your stomach replies, loudly. Hunger in this house isn't subtle. But first, pest control. There's a scorpion under the basin again. A small one, thank Thoth. You gently nudge it into a clay shard and escort it out. It resents you. You don't care. And that's just the visible danger. Because beneath the bed mat, fleas. In the ceiling cracks, beetles. And in your imagination, something that definitely wasn't a snake last week. You check the corner where the roof leaks, still damp, still growing something, probably not sacred. You once saw a temple priest bless mold. You tried it. Yours didn't glow. Shame. And now, laundry. Not because you have time, because you've run out of dry things that don't smell like river ghost. So you do what every Alexandrian of your station does. You dunk your tunic in a mix of water, ash, and crushed barley hulls. Scrub it with a stone, curse, repeat. Then hang it on the rope between your door frame and the neighbor's oven. If you're lucky, it won't be stolen. If you're unlucky, it will be returned, mysteriously tighter. But you get used to these things. Parasites, constant, heat, relentless, hope, still clinging to the laundry line like a determined sock. And you breathe, sit, listen to the city sigh. The breeze smells like baked bread, probably not yours. And you realize, yet again, the day hasn't even started. The linen tunic you washed earlier is almost dry. You press it to your face and inhale. It smells like soap ash, last night's steam, and possibly goat. Acceptable. You slip it on, the fabric stiff from the sun, and speckled with whatever the breeze carried in. Probably dust. Hopefully only dust. Then comes the first sacred ritual of the day. Not falling while relieving yourself. There's no proper latrine in your building. Not unless you count the ceramic pot in the corner, which you don't, because it cracked last month and now it echoes. So you make the trip down 2 flights of uneven stairs, past a man weaving baskets in his sleep, past a child chewing on a reed with the look of someone who's seen too much, and out into the alley. There, behind a leaning wall and a very judgmental cat, sits the community outhouse. It's technically a trench with a plank across it, a marvel of simplicity and risk. You balance, breathe, hope. A fly lands on your ankle. You do not scream. You are proud. Ancient hygiene isn't glamorous. You do your best with vinegar water, bits of cloth, and the belief that Cleopatra probably doesn't smell perfect either. Then breakfast. It's a loud word for what it is. You rummage through the woven basket you keep near the cool wall. Inside, 2 figs, shriveled but heroic. A crust of barley bread that could also serve as a weapon. And a smear of fermented lentil paste wrapped in waxy leaves. You nibble, slowly, chew like you mean it. Pretend it's a feast. There's a knock, 3 taps, the signal that your neighbor has found something mildly edible. You open the door. She hands you a tiny date, half smashed, very sweet. Possibly an apology for stealing your sandals last month. You nod. No words needed. Bartering in your alleyway is mostly done through gestures and baked goods. Next comes dental care, which is really just chewing a minty stick and trying not to bleed. You grab your twig of Salvadora persica. Locals call it the toothbrush bush. It tastes like bark and regret, but your gums feel sharper afterwards, and that's what counts. You spit into the dust. The cat judges you again. Then, you dress for the day. You own 2 tunics. You wore one yesterday. You're wearing it again today. Your sash is fraying. You knot it in a way that hides the worst of the tears. The color? Off-white. The fashion? Functional. The aesthetic? Person who has not been erased by Cleopatra, but only barely. Accessories? A small amulet of Hathor on a string, worn smooth by fingers and time. Protection or placebo? Doesn't matter, you need both. And now, a choice, sandals or bare feet. The sandals are worn, the straps gnawed by a neighbor's dog, but the streets are brutal. You go with sandals. Your arches sigh in gratitude. You check your reflection in a bronze shard, polished just enough to suggest the shape of your face. You look like a person who could fetch water, haggle for lentils, and possibly survive one more day without getting fired. Spoiler, the mirror lies, but it's trying. Before leaving, you make a quick stop at your wall niche. Inside is your household shrine. 2 clay figurines, 1 candle, and a chicken feather. You light a sliver of resin and wave the smoke 3 times. You whisper the names of your dead, and the name of the grain merchant you hope falls into the fish pit. Balance. Outside, the streets are in motion. Children run with jars on their heads. Men shout about salt prices. Someone's playing a flute, that sounds like it learned music from frogs. This is Alexandria, 40 BCE, and your day has officially begun. You take a shortcut to the dockside, not because it's faster, because it's shady for 10 minutes, and passes by a baker who occasionally tosses burnt crusts to passing souls, like yourself. The city is already sweating. Alexandria doesn't just heat up, it simmers. The white limestone walls reflect sunlight like angry mirrors, and the smell of boiling fish brine follows you like a clingy memory. You round a corner and dodge a cart loaded with clay jugs, each one teetering like it has free will. A donkey stares at you with the disdain of someone who once had dreams. Same donkey, same. And there it is, the port. Crowded, loud, magnificent in its own crusty way. You're not a sailor or a merchant or a Greek philosopher with 6 scrolls under one arm and syphilis under the other. You're something more humble, more breakable. You are a warehouse scribe's assistant, which sounds respectable, but mostly means lifting amphorae, tallying crates, and avoiding anything labeled olive oil fragile. Your boss is already yelling when you arrive. He's short, sun-leathered, and wears a belt that suggests more authority than he legally possesses. You're late, he mutters, pointing at the sun. You squint. It's not even at the meridian. He glares anyway. Your task today? Move jars from the eastern wall to the southern shade. Don't break anything. Don't speak unless you want to be fined in bread. You nod. Your back sighs. The amphorae are ceramic, smooth, narrow, sharp at the bottom, with rope handles that mock you with every shift. You lift one. It's heavier than regret. You carry it 6 steps. Your shoulder already whispers rebellion. Welcome to ancient labor. There's no OSHA, no union breaks. Just sun, salt, and the looming fear of being replaced by a 14-year-old with stronger wrists. But here's the secret. There's beauty in the rhythm. Lift, step, breathe, sweat, swear internally, repeat. By midday, your arms feel like boiled reeds. The linen clings to your back. Your legs are learning betrayal. Someone nearby shouts about a spilled shipment. Wine, probably. It smells divine. The ground drinks it before you can. The gods are cruel but efficient. In the shade of a broken pillar, you rest. You look up. A ship from Cyprus is pulling in. Its sails flap like tired wings. Men scramble with ropes. One of them trips and nearly gets dragged into the harbor. No one helps, but they laugh, and that counts for something. Your boss hands you a scroll. It's a list of goods. You're meant to check them against what's delivered. This is the closest you'll get to authority today. You run your finger down the names: figs, barley, linseed, papyrus, and honey cakes for court use only. Court use, right. Probably means Cleopatra's pets or her enemies. You never know. You glance at the harbor again. Once, maybe twice a month, a royal barge glides past. Carved cedar, gold accents, soldiers in linen too clean to be trusted, and sometimes, behind the screen of painted cloth, a glimpse of Cleopatra herself. They say she has a voice like music in a marble room, that she speaks 9 languages, that she once turned a Roman general into a loyal puddle in 3 evenings flat. But mostly, they say she remembers everything, which is good, unless you're an ex-lover. Your shift ends with another round of shouting. Someone dropped a crate. Your boss blames you. You blame the universe. The crate blames gravity. You get docked a half-day's bread, again. But you're still standing, barely. Your feet hum like tuning forks. Your arms vibrate when still. Your eyes sting with salt. And somewhere deep in your gut, a sliver of pride flickers. You made it. Another workday, another scroll processed, another amphora survived. You walk home slowly, past the dogs, past the fishmonger's child throwing scales at pigeons, past the man who bathes in wine once a week and swears it cures emotions. You breathe in the city again. It smells like exhaustion and fennel and heat, always heat, and somehow it's enough. You're hungry, not I skipped lunch hungry, not where's my fig hungry. This is Alexandria after a shift hungry. It's the kind of hunger that makes even turnip soup sound seductive. So you turn toward the agora, the central marketplace, wrapped in chaos and cooked in direct sunlight. Imagine a bazaar where every smell, texture, and human emotion is turned up to 11. That's where you are. First, the sounds. Shouting, bargaining, clapping, sneezing, one guy reciting poetry to his donkey. All at once, no gaps. Then the smells. Fried onions, goat fur, cilantro, sweat, sweet figs, rotten olives, someone's armpit, definitely armpit. You dodge a woman carrying 3 jars on her head like it's nothing. You nearly trip over a child licking a date off a ground with the focus of a scholar. And there it is, your favorite stall. It's run by an old woman named something sounding like Mira. You're not sure. You once asked and she responded by selling you something more expensive. You never asked again. She hands you a palm full of lentil cakes wrapped in fig leaves, still warm, just barely. They smell like cumin and resilience. You bite into one, and it's as dry as honesty in politics. But you chew. And for a moment, everything softens. You find a shady corner between a spice merchant and a man selling slightly suspicious eels. And you watch. Because this is where Alexandria breathes. A scribe argues about ink prices. A Greek soldier flirts with a girl holding grapes like ammunition. An old man drops a coin and 3 people lunge for it like it's gold. It's not. It's barely bronze. And then, of course, there's the entertainment. Today, it's a man balancing on a pot while singing about tax collection. Spoiler, the pot breaks. The crowd cheers. You toss him a lentil cake. He bows. The joke isn't funny, but he's earned it. A friend spots you, one of your co-workers, if lifting things and sweating together counts as work. He's wearing a new sash. You ask him how. Stole it. He grins. You both laugh. You hope he's kidding. You don't ask. You swap gossip. Did you hear the palace had a new visitor? A Roman, again. Some say it's a senator. Others say it's a spy. A few say it's just a guy who's bad at sandals. The queen hasn't been seen in days. Maybe she's with him. Maybe she's plotting. Maybe she's erasing someone. You don't say it out loud, but everyone thinks it. Lovers of Cleopatra tend to vanish in 2 stages. First from her palace, then from public memory. Julius Caesar turned into a statue. Mark Antony turned into a warning. Others just gone. Some say she burned their names from records. Others think she just outlived their reputations. Quietly, elegantly, fatally. You buy a jar of pickled turnip. Why? No one knows? A parade passes, local priests chanting something about the Nile's fertility. They wave incense. Children mimic them with sticks. A goat eats one of the flower garlands and is promptly declared divine. You step aside and try not to inhale too deeply. The flowers smell fine. The priests, not so much. There's a brief commotion near the linen cellar. 2 women slap each other over dye prices. The crowd forms a circle instantly. Someone starts to taking bets, and then, from behind the market stalls, a flash of blue silk, a golden ankle bracelet, a royal guard's whisper. It's not Cleopatra, probably, but someone close to her, a scribe, a handmaiden. Maybe just someone with very good fashion sense and very bad luck. You don't follow. You watch her disappear into the crowd. You think, what must it be like? To eat with silver spoons, to command languages, lands, lovers, to choose what's remembered and what's not. You pick up your jar, sling your satchel, pat your coin pouch with a sadness it's come to accept. And as the sun begins to dip, casting Alexandria in gold and apology, you start walking home again. Tomorrow, you'll do it all over. But tonight, the city still dances. Evening arrives, not with fanfare, but with a deep exhale. The streets slow down, the heat fades, just enough to remember that air can be kind. Shadows lengthen like cats stretching, and Alexandria begins its second life. You walk slower now, not because you're relaxed, because your legs have turned to barley porridge, and every step feels like it might be your last noble act. But there's beauty in this hour. Candles begin to flicker in windows, small flames licking the dusk. Women sweep doorways with short, angry strokes. The scent of roasted garlic and citrus peel drifts from someone's hearth. You pass a man mumbling to a statue of Serapis. He's either praying or arguing. You don't interrupt. At home, your door creaks like it's composing a tragedy. The cousin's cousin is back, shirtless, eating something unidentifiable and crunchy. You nod, he grunts. It's an entire language. You sit down, slowly. The room is dim, just one oil lamp hissing softly. The light trembles like it's reconsidering its career. And then, yes, the scratch in your throat, the tightness behind your eye, the aching, rattling, completely predictable warning signs. Congratulations, you're getting sick. In this city, health is a state of negotiation. You cough into the corner, then sniff, then pause. Is that blood or pomegranate? You decide not to check. Instead, you reach into the clay jar by the wall, your humble pharmacy. Inside, dried myrrh, crushed fennel, something that might have been mint 2 seasons ago, and a strip of papyrus with a spell written in bad Greek. You chew the myrrh slowly. It tastes like punishment and ancient wisdom. Your tongue goes numb. You call it progress. You lie back and stare at the ceiling. The cracks look deeper tonight. A beetle scuttles across a beam. You name him Tiberius and wish him well. In the next room, someone begins chanting, not loudly, just enough to be unsettling. You recognize it as a healing charm, a blend of syllables and superstition. 3 drops of Nile, 1 strand of hair, whisper the name of the sickness backwards. Spoiler, that last part doesn't work, unless the sickness is named Greg. And then the knock, a soft tap at the door. You open it to find your neighbor holding a clay cup. Steam curls from its rim. It smells like boiled herbs and stubbornness. She says nothing, just hands it to you. You take it, sip, it's bitter, burns slightly, might contain pigeon. You nod thanks, she leaves. That's how medicine works here, quietly, through walls, with a strong aftertaste. You lie down again. Your back finds every lump in the floor, like it's reacquainting itself with geography. And then you remember, tonight is ritual night, not yours, the temple's, which means the streets will echo. You hear the first bell, deep, metallic, serious, followed by the thump of drums, the click of staffs, the high wail of pipes. Worship here isn't subtle. The priests of Isis wear white robes and fierce eyeliner. They parade through the streets with flame torches and carved symbols. They chant prayers to the sky, the river, the queen, the cats, especially the cats. You peek out your window. A column of flickering light moves past, torches bouncing in rhythm. Children stare, dogs bark. Someone throws flower petals from a rooftop. And behind it all, that one haunting voice, a woman maybe, or a boy, or something in between, singing in a language older than your debts. The song is beautiful. You don't know the words. You understand it anyway. You rest your head. Let the voices wash over you. Let the drums roll across your chest like distant thunder. Let your body sink just a little deeper into the mat. Someone in the alley laughs, a good sound, human, and now as the firelight fades and the wind begins to whisper stories through the reed blinds, you close your eyes, just for a moment. It's late now, the kind of late where even the dogs have stopped arguing, where the moon floats like a polished coin over Alexandria's rooftops, and the Nile glimmers like it's holding a secret. You're half asleep, maybe more, but in this city, night isn't peace. Not really. It's when the other life begins. First, the sounds change. The marketplace goes quiet, but the thieves don't. The priests go silent, but the alley whisperers start up. Even the insects get bolder. You feel one crawling over your ankle, like it's trying to borrow something. You sigh, brush it away, and sit up, because you remembered you forgot to bolt the door. You shuffle across the room, toe catching on a basket. You muffle a curse and latch the wooden hook. It wobbles. The security here is symbolic at best. You listen for a moment. Outside, a distant flute, off-key. Closer, footsteps, light ones, maybe a cat, maybe not. And somewhere down the street, a splash. Someone's at the well. At this hour, you let it go. You're not the city guard. You're not even sure the city has one anymore. Instead, you light your tiniest lamp, a walnut-sized thing filled with sheep fat and resignation. The flame sputters, then steadies, and now the rituals. You pour a little water on your hands, whisper a prayer, something vague but respectful, aimed at no one in particular, just whoever's listening. Then you grab your night tool. Everyone has one. Yours is a sharpened stick kept under your mat. Not much, but enough to make a rat reconsider its evening plans. Because yes, Alexandria has rats. Big ones, smart. They don't fear death, they fear inconvenience. You once saw one drag an entire onion out of a market stall and disappear into the sewer like a tiny god. Tonight, you check your corners. Behind the grain jar, clear. Under the bedding, clear. Inside the cooking pot, unclear. You skip it. You sit again. And now the final phase of nighttime, mental survival. You count the cracks in the ceiling. 27, same as yesterday. Comforting. You recite your list of people I owe bread to. It's long. You whisper their names like an incantation. Then comes the fear. Not loud, not obvious. Just a creeping little fog in the corner of your thoughts. Will the Nile flood this year? Will Rome get hungrier? Will your cousin's cousin ever move out? You try not to spiral. Instead, you focus on the little tricks passed down, whispered from wiser, itchier ancestors. Nighttime survival hacks, Egyptian edition. 1. Sleep with a rock at your feet. If it gets warm, you know the fire's gone out. 2. Put mint leaves near your ears. Scares away gnats. Also makes you smell like a fancy tomb. 3. Keep one eye half open, just in case the queen sends someone to unperson you in your sleep. Okay, that last one's a joke. Probably. Because yes, Cleopatra's palace has reach. Yes, she once had an entire scribal family fired because of a translation error. But she probably doesn't care about your rent issues. Probably, you curl onto your mat, you pull the sheet higher, and you listen, again. Someone's crying softly, someone's laughing too. A pot clinks, a baby murmurs. The city sighs. And you survive, by habit, by hope, by repetition. Sleep comes in pieces, like sand settling, and somewhere, not too far away, Cleopatra herself lies awake. Maybe, rewriting someone, again. But not you, not tonight. You've lived quietly, eaten humbly, kept your name off every scroll. You're just a person in the margins. And sometimes, That's the safest place to be. You wake to silence, not morning birdsong, not bustling footsteps, just that deep, heavy silence that settles over a city like a thick linen sheet. It's still night, barely, the kind of hour that belongs to ghosts and half memories. You sit up, your back complains. Your ankle has stiffened into something resembling driftwood. You stretch, slowly, carefully, like someone who doesn't entirely trust their own bones anymore. And then you notice it, the wind, a breeze slipping through the shutters, soft, cool, carrying the scent of salt, baked brick, and ink? Yes, ink, which means one thing. The palace scribes have been working late. You stand and tiptoe to the window. Outside, Alexandria sleeps, but the palace library glows. A thin gold shimmer leaks through its upper arches. Tiny silhouettes move across its balconies. People are writing, copying, erasing. You wonder, is someone's name being scratched off a scroll right now? Maybe a soldier who spoke too freely. Maybe a poet who compared Cleopatra's eyes to jellyfish. Poor choice. Or maybe an old lover, being unwritten word by word until he's as faint as the stars above. And yet, the city holds its own. Even in this shadowed hour, there's life. A pair of cats duel under a grain cart. A boat shifts on the harbor, ropes creaking like sleepy knees. Somewhere, a temple bell rings 3 times. A slow, heavy toll, possibly a death, possibly a new moon. In Alexandria, it can be both. You light your final lamp of the night. A stubby wick floating in oil. It hisses, then settles into a low, honey-colored glow. You sit beside it, cross-legged, breathing with it. This is the hour of reflection. And for once, you let yourself think about everything you usually push aside. What you've done, what you haven't, the names you remember, the ones you've let fade. You think of someone you used to know, gone now, disappeared in one of Cleopatra's quieter years. No trial, no execution, just gone. People whispered, theories changed, but the scrolls stopped mentioning him, and so did the market stalls, and the sailors, and even his own family. It's one thing to die, it's another to be erased. You tighten the blanket around your shoulders, not from cold, from something else. A need to remain. Not as a hero, not as a name carved into marble, just as someone who was here. You reach for your one indulgence, a clay shard you've scratched a few words into, your name, and a line from a poem you once heard. Even a shadow touches the stone it passes. You don't know who wrote it, maybe no one, but tonight it's yours. You tuck it under your mat, safe. Outside, the stars begin to dim, the dark shifts from black to navy. The city breathes in and readies itself for dawn. You lie back, one hand on your chest, one hand open beside you, just in case a dream wants to hold it. Tomorrow will be the same, and yet not. You'll wake, you'll eat, you'll sweat, you'll lift, you'll trade, you'll watch. And maybe, if you're very lucky, you'll be remembered by someone who matters. Or maybe you'll stay quiet, like most of us. A name between 2 lines in a story that never makes it to the scroll. And still, that's enough. Because even the smallest life has weight. Even the erased once made ripples. And somewhere, in a quiet, firelit corner of history, you existed. The lamp is out. The mat is warm beneath you. The air is still, still enough to hear your own breathing. A slow, steady rhythm, like waves, like parchment unrolling. Alexandria sleeps, and for once, it feels like the whole world is holding its breath alongside you. The dreams come gently now, not grand ones, not visions of queens or gods or lost lovers. Simple ones, a bowl of fresh dates, a roof that doesn't leak, a morning without ache, And in the dream, you walk the same streets, but lighter. No coin pouch, no scrolls, no worry, just you. And the sun rising softly over the library dome, spilling gold across the cobblestones. You pause, turn back, and see yourself, just for a second. As if you've been part of something all along. Not a footnote, not a name crossed out, not one of the erased, but one of the living. A small, stubborn flicker in the vast candlelight of history. You don't need a statue. You don't need a tomb. You don't need to be carved in stone to matter. Because someone walked beside you. Someone remembered your laughter. Someone shared their last fig. That's what lasts. Not the power, not the palace, not the edited scrolls, but the warmth passed hand to hand, the tiny comforts traded in alleys, the love spoken in crumbs and whispers. And so, as this long day comes to a close, as the ink dries on the record of another quiet life, as your body finally lets go of its weight and your thoughts drift like smoke, know this, you were here, and that is enough. Now rest, sleep well, and let the sands of time cover you gently, like a blanket woven by the night itself. Good night, friend. See you in the next story.